The Wandlebury hill fort on the Gog Downs is traditionally associated with the Iron Age, but archaeological evidence suggests that its origins may date back to the Bronze Age and beyond. However, we shall be focusing on the Bronze Age material in this video, which is the period attributed to the Trojan conflict spoken about by chroniclers throughout the ages. Artifacts uncovered at this site, including pottery, tools, and other cultural materials, indicate that the area was in use during the Middle to Late Bronze Age. This earlier date points to Wandlebury being an important site well before it was allegedly fortified during the Iron Age. We find a variety of artifacts have been uncovered from this potential Trojan epoch, offering a glimpse into the region's pre-Roman history. Finds of weapons, urns, and skeletal remains, amongst many other finds, date primarily from the Middle to Late Bronze Age, which is around 1500 to 900 BCE. Among the significant discoveries are bronze axes, dating from approximately 1400 to 1000 BCE. They were identified in the Wandlebury hill fort area and have been discussed in Archaeology in Cambridgeshire by Michael Neville. And I will just hit the pause button real quick. I have tried looking already for some of these artifacts online, and while I can cite who discovered these artifacts, and I can verify even through the British Museum that some of these artifacts exist, finding specific images has proven to be quite difficult already. Bronze Age knives from the same period have also been found. We also have Bronze Age swords from around 1200 to 800 BCE, bronze daggers dating also from approximately 1200 to 800 BCE. The site has also yielded bronze pins, Bronze Age beads dating from 1200 BCE. We have bronze fibulae or brooches from around 1200 BCE. We have bronze fittings from approximately 1200 BCE. Other important finds include horse bridle fittings, such as bit fittings, bridle rings, and ornamental mountings, dating from at least 1000 BCE. The dating of these Bronze Age finds are when the archaeologists believe they entered into the dirt. The dating may in fact be older. We also have cremation urns from around 1200 BCE. These urns were used to contain the ashes of the deceased and reflect the burial practices and beliefs of the Iliad, where we hear of Achilles wanting his urn to be buried with Patroclus, his closest friend who was slain in battle by Hector. Together, these artifacts provide a comprehensive view of Bronze Age life at Wandlebury hill fort, reflecting the technological, cultural, and social aspects of the period, which aligns well with a region well capable of warfare. The Roman road near Wandlebury hill fort incorporates or follows potentially earlier late Bronze Age defensive structures. As I discussed in the previous Wandlebury video, there are several indirect indicators and general archaeological practices that might support this. For starters, archaeological surveys and excavations in the Wandlebury area have revealed both Roman and Bronze Age artifacts. Studies such as those presented in the Roman roads in Britain by R.J.A. Wilson and Archaeology in Cambridgeshire by Michael Neville, as discussed, document the presence of Roman road features alongside extensive late Bronze Age finds. These surveys confirm the occupation of the site during both periods. Roman engineers were known for their practice of adapting and incorporating existing structures into the new construction. This was a common approach in Roman infrastructure projects, as evidenced by other sites across Britain where Roman roads were built over or near pre-existing structures. For instance, at some locations, Roman roads have been found to align with or indeed overlay earlier settlements or defensive features. This practice suggests that the Roman infrastructure often took into account existing geographical or man-made features. These Bronze Age defensive earthworks at Wandlebury indicate a well-developed settlement with complex protective measures. Extensive earthworks and structures from this period suggest that the site was of significant strategic importance, with vast time, energy, and resource invested in the area. So it is conceivable that the Roman road, which would have been a crucial element of military and civilian infrastructure, might have been constructed with the consideration of these existing features. Roman road builders might have chosen to align their road with these defensive structures if they were strategically advantageous, or if the terrain influenced their construction choices. As I say, historical context also supports the idea that Roman builders often repurposed or adapted earlier features. Future research and detailed archaeological excavations are crucial for establishing any direct relationship between the Roman road and the late Bronze Age defences at Wandlebury, and more digging, excuse the pun, needs to be done on this. Moving on now to more archaeology. Here we have a compiled list of Bronze Age finds discovered between Wandlebury Park, Littleport and Shippy Hill, essentially the battleground of the Trojan War, organised into categories as best as possible. I'm going to use an AI rendering voice so he can speak clearly and give you the full list of the artefacts, and I'll be back in a moment.
Many Bronze Age artifacts across Britain were first documented during antiquarian investigations in the 1800s. At that time, archaeology was more of a hobbyist endeavor, and many finds from this period may not have been fully documented, but we still have some incomplete records and artiles, as well as well-documented finds from archaeology and amateur metal detectorists. Here are the finds that have been found and still found regularly by metal detectorists today, starting with hoards. 1. Eversden Hoard, Cambridgeshire. Date: Bronze Age. Source: Cambridgeshire Historic Environment Record, Share. 2. Cambridge Hoard, Cambridge. Date: Bronze Age. Source: Portable Antiquities Scheme, PAR. The same source applies to the items listed below. 3. Trumpington Talk, near Cambridge. Date: Bronze Age. Source: Portable Antiquities Scheme, PAR. 4. Farset Fen Hoard, near Peterborough. Date: Bronze Age. 5. Isleham Hoard, Cambridgeshire. Date: Bronze Age. Source: British Museum Collection Online. 6. Burwell Hoard, near Ely. Date: Bronze Age. 7. Soham Axe Head, near Ely. Date: Bronze Age. 8. Fordham Hoard, near Newmarket. Date: Bronze Age. 9. Milton Talk, Cambridgeshire. Date: Bronze Age. 10. Bottisham Lode Bronze Age Sword, near Newmarket. Date: Bronze Age. 11. Streatham Fen Hoard, near Ely. Date: Bronze Age. 12. Little Thetford Axe, Cambridgeshire. Date: Bronze Age. 13. Waterbeach Fen Finds, near Cambridge. Date: Bronze Age. 14. Meldreth Bronze Age Tools, Cambridgeshire. Date: Bronze Age. 15. Meeple Hoard, Cambridgeshire. Date: Bronze Age. 16. Thorney Hoard, near Peterborough. Date: Bronze Age. 17. Cottenham Fen Axe Head, near Cambridge. Date: Bronze Age. 18. Ely Spearhead, Ely. Date: Bronze Age. 19. Wicken Fen Daggers, near Ely. Date: Bronze Age. 20. Cambridge Bronze Age Shield Fragment, Cambridge. Date: Bronze Age. As you can see, the number of hoards in the region is impressive, and here's is a list of individually documented Bronze Age artifacts. 1. Bronze Age axe head, Ely. Date: Bronze Age, c. 2000–1500 BC. Description: a bronze flat axe head. 2. Cambridge bronze dagger. Date: Bronze Age, c. 1500–1200 BC. Description: a bronze dagger blade. 3. Bronze Age spearhead, Newmarket. Date: Bronze Age, c. 1200–800 BC. Description: a leaf-shaped bronze spearhead. 4. Gold hair ring, Cambridge. Date: Bronze Age, c. 1300–800 BC. Description: a small gold hair ring. 5. Bronze Age bracelet, Ely. Date: Bronze Age, c. 1500–1000 BC. Description: a bronze bracelet. 6. Bronze Age socketed axe, Fordham. Date: Bronze Age, c. 1800 BC. Description: a bronze socketed axe head. 7. Bronze Age knife, Soham. Date: Bronze Age, c. 1800 BC. Description: a single-edged bronze knife. 8. Bronze Age pin, Cambridge. Date: Bronze Age, c. 1800 BC. Description: a bronze pin. 9. Bronze Age gouge, Meeple. Date: Bronze Age, c. 1200–800 BC. Description: a bronze gouge. 10. Gold torque fragment, near Ely. Date: Bronze Age, c. 1200–800 BC. Description: a fragment of a gold torque. 11. Bronze Age palstave axe, Milton. Date: Bronze Age, c. 1500–1200 BC. Description: a bronze palstave axe head. 12. Bronze Age adze, Waterbeach. Date: Bronze Age, c. 1200–800 BC. Description: a bronze adze. 13. Bronze Age chisel, Bottisham. Date: Bronze Age, c. 1200–800 BC. Description: a bronze chisel. 14. Bronze Age pendant, Streatham. Date: Bronze Age, c. 1800 BC. Description: a small bronze pendant. 15. Bronze Age arm ring, Little Thetford. Date: Bronze Age, c. 1800 BC. Description: a bronze arm ring. 16. Bronze Age macehead, Wicken Fen. Date: Bronze Age, c. 1200–800 BC. Description: a stone macehead with a bronze fitting. 17. Bronze Age razor, Burwell. Date: Bronze Age, c. 1800 BC. Description: a small bronze razor. 18. Bronze Age decorative pin, Fordham. Date: Bronze Age, c. 1800 BC. Description: a bronze pin with intricate decoration. 19. Bronze Age rattle pendant, Isleham. Date: Bronze Age, c. 1200–800 BC. Description: a bronze rattle pendant. 20. Bronze Age bead, Ely. Date: Bronze Age, c. 1500–1000 BC. Description: a single amber bead. I could go on, but I think the point has been made regarding the quantity of items that are discovered in the region, which just goes to show the antiquity of Britain and Ireland, and the richness of our history. As requested by Marchell, here are a few of sources and links worth checking out. The Prehistoric Pottery of Cambridgeshire, by David Gurney. The Archaeology of Cambridgeshire, an assessment of the archaeological evidence, edited by Christopher G. Green and Richard W. Smith. Cyril Fox, The Archaeology of the Cambridge Region, 1923. David Hall, The Fenland Project, Volumes 1 to 12. Francis Pryor, Prehistoric East Anglia, 2005. John Waher, The Archaeology of Roman Britain, 2003. The Portable Antiquities Scheme, PAR. Cambridgeshire Historic Environment Record, Share. And the British Museum Collection online. One should look as well at checking news articles and joining online community groups. For many finds are not readily available via a brief Googling. Luckily, other people are passionate in their endeavors to document and share. I salute you, heroes without capes. The style of systematic and scientific excavations became more common in the 20th century, particularly after World War II, with many documented finds being carted off to private collections in the past, and still so today, probably. However, new finds are pulled out of the ground here nearly every week, and are only published in short, undetailed articles, so who knows how many artifacts have truly been unearthed. Back to you, Kev.
As you can see, this list is extensive, and was only an overview of some of the late Bronze Age artifacts found across the clearly significant and well-used sites. The picture is becoming clearer that Wandlebury is a prehistoric site with evidence of ancient settlement and possibly ceremonial use at minimum during the Bronze Age. The circular nature of Wandlebury and similar sites might suggest connections to ancient rituals or astronomical observations, including solar worship, and the solar aspect really does excite me, as we will come on to further when we start breaking down more of the solar worship. Ancient cultures often built circular structures and enclosures aligned with the celestial events such as the solstices and the equinoxes, which we find in many locations, and I will look to explore this really soon, as I say, when we come back to this solar worship. Here are a couple of relevant quotes from Tom Lethbridge, who was an English archaeologist, parapsychologist and explorer intimately familiar with the region. On the Golden Chariot referenced prior, quote, "The Golden Chariot mentioned in the myths may not be a physical object that we can expect to find in the archaeological record. Rather, it symbolizes the divine or celestial chariot that played a role in the ritualistic and symbolic practices of ancient peoples." And that's from his work, The Silent People, in 1961. However, we do see similar golden chariot artifacts around other parts of Europe during this period. The extensive Bronze Age finds between Wandlebury Park, Littleport and Shippier Hill indeed paint a picture of an advanced society with significant technological, agricultural and social development. The variety and volume of artifacts suggests several key aspects of this society worth noting. Starting with advanced technology, the numerous bronze weapons, tools and personal adornments indicate a society proficient in metallurgy, crafting sophisticated items from bronze. The presence of specialized tools such as awls, chisels and agricultural implements point to a well-developed system of production. Agriculture and domestication, the discovery of the agricultural tools and the horse bridle fittings underscores the importance of farming and animal husbandry, with farmsteads also discovered in the area. These finds suggest that the society had established methods for food production and animal use, likely involving both farming and the use of horses for transport and warfare. We touched on this topic in a previous video of the area, where we noted that canine usage was used in the area for cattle rearing also, and potentially one of the oldest locations in Europe. The large number of weapons, swords, daggers, spearheads and shields alongside the defensive earthworks at sites like Wandlebury point to a society that either experienced continuous warfare or prepared extensively for the possibility of conflict. The burial urns and other ritual items reflect complex religious or spiritual beliefs, indicating that this society engaged in elaborate funerary practices. The concentration of these artifacts in a relatively small geographical area indicates that this region was a centre of activity during the period of 1200 BCE. The urns cited as the burial methods described by Homer of the Trojans and the Achaeans/Argives is clear here, along with the mounds he also described, of which do not resemble the tombs discovered at Thessalic. In Homer's Iliad, the exact process of cremation and the subsequent burial of the remains is described in several instances, particularly in relation to the funerals of Patroclus and later Achilles. The specific quote that describes the burial method involving an urn can be found in Iliad 23, where Homer details the funeral of Patroclus. The passage describes the collection of Patroclus's bones and their placement in an urn. Quote, "Then they gathered the white bones of their comrade, sorrowing, and placed them in a golden urn, covered them with soft linen, and laid the urn in the tent to await the time when they should place him in a tomb." This passage encapsulates the method of cremation and the respectful handling of the remains, emphasizing the care with which the bones were collected, the use of a golden urn, and the temporary storage before the final burial. Later in the Iliad, in 24, the urn is mentioned again when Achilles' bones are mixed with those of Patroclus. I quote, "They placed the bones of Patroclus in the urn of gold, and with them mingled the bones of Achilles, godlike son of Peleus." A quote about Achilles' urn is found in the Aeneid by the Roman poet Virgil in Book 5. The hero Aeneas reflects on the urn that contains the ashes of Achilles. The urn is described as, quote, "small and," quote, "unworthy to hold the remains of such a great hero." Here is the quote, "Thou too great hero, whom the expiring age in later times reveres the awful rage, hast ashes only in a narrow urn, restless within the confines of the tomb." Unquote. The horse bridles show a society capable of chariot warfare, also described in the Iliad and discussed in a previous video I did. Bear in mind these finds are rare, yet this small plot of land has yielded so much, with minimal archaeology being carried out at many locations that could be key. So in a nutshell, we find either a major battle of great significance, a war in essence, or centuries of repeated conflicts during the Bronze Age, leaving behind numerous assorted weapons from swords to arrowheads and defensive earthworks, which further support the idea that these communities were organised, prepared and engaged with non-regional tribes. As a society that perpetually kills its own, I imagine, would not rise to a high advanced society, not just for everyday living, but also for protection, ceremony, reform and overall cohesion, reflecting the importance of this region during the late Bronze Age. I must say, the deeper I dig, the more this region and others reveal their secrets. I hope you enjoyed this further examination of Wandlebury and the region. So yeah, thanks for stopping by, and I'll catch you in the next video. Peace.